welcome back to our channel. Unlock history in your hands. Every quarter dollar tells a story of American pride and progress. The year 1983 wasn't a particularly loud year in the world of coins. There were no ceremonies, no special collector programs to mark the date. The Washington quarter had already been circulating for over 50 years by then. It had become a fixture of daily life. Familiar. Predictable. George Washington's profile on one side, firm and unchanging, with that calm, silent strength in his gaze. On the reverse, the bald eagle, wings outspread, head turned, talons clenched around arrows, as it had always been. There was a kind of dignity in its consistency. But also, perhaps, a kind of invisibility. People stopped noticing it. It blended into life, but hidden among the millions upon millions of quarters struck that year, there was one that was not like the rest. To understand just how unusual that is, you have to step back and look at how quarters come into the world. Minted at high speed, coins are mass-produced in a factory environment that is built for volume, not delicacy. Struck by enormous presses, coins are flung onto metal trays, tumbled with others, thrown into bags, shipped across the country. During that process, tiny marks are left. Hairline scratches. Contact marks from clashing into other coins. Small imperfections caused by slightly worn dies or rushed striking conditions. These things are normal. They're expected. Nobody minds them, because these coins are meant to be used, but when a coin escapes that whole brutal process, when somehow, miraculously, it makes it out of the mint almost untouched, when it carries no signs of wear, no flaws, no bruises from its journey, it becomes something else. It becomes a survivor. A time capsule. A freak occurrence, and in 1983, that's exactly what happened. That year, the United States Mint didn't release mint sets to the public. No pristine rolls. No sealed, polished coin folders. Just business strikes. Coins meant to be spent, used, handled. And without those mint sets, collectors had no access to high-grade coins from that year, unless they were incredibly lucky. Unless they managed to find one of the few that made it into the world in flawless condition before we could touch it, most never stood a chance that a 1983 quarter passed through hundreds, maybe thousands of hands. Dropped into machines, scooped into bags, flung onto countertops, and eventually forgotten in change jars or lost between couch cushions. But this one, this single, extraordinary coin, avoided it all. Think about how many things had to go just right. The planchet had to be clean. The dies had to be fresh and aligned perfectly. The pressure of the strike had to be just enough, not too light, not too hard. The coin had to land softly, perhaps into a collection roll, never bouncing against another. It had to be handled carefully, pulled aside quickly, maybe by someone who didn't even know what they had, just someone with a sense that it looked different. Newer. Brighter. Somehow untouched, then it had to be kept safe. For decades. Through moves. Through drawers and dusty shelves. Maybe passed down in a box of keepsakes. Maybe left behind by someone who was saving it for a reason they couldn't quite name. Years would pass. The world would change. New designs would come. But the coin would remain, untouched by time, and then one day, someone took a closer look, maybe it was a collector, thumbing through an old roll. Or someone who inherited a box of coins and decided to check them. They turned it over in the light. Something caught their eye. The way the light moved across the surface. The flawless edges. The detail. Every tiny feature was sharp. Washington's cheekbone had depth. His hair had texture. The eagle's feathers looked alive. There were no nicks. No dings. The fields, the flat background spaces around the design, were smooth as glass. No bag marks. No sign that it had ever been spent. It looked like it had just been made, even though it had been waiting for decades. That moment of realization is something collectors never forget. The heart skips a beat. The world narrows. The air around you changes. Because you're no longer holding a coin. You're holding a secret. A whisper from the past that nobody else heard. You're holding something that isn't just rare, it isn't supposed to exist. This quarter, this ordinary 1983 quarter, was suddenly something completely different. It had crossed over into the realm of the extraordinary, not because of an error, not because of silver content, not because it was struck in a different mint, but because it had survived. It had preserved perfection in a year when perfection was almost impossible to find, and that's the part that most people miss. The value isn't just in age or rarity. It's in condition. In purity. In the survival of the smallest details. That's what collectors chase. Not just old coins, but flawless old coins. Coins that should have disappeared into everyday life, but didn't. Coins that defied probability. Coins that tell stories simply by existing. This 1983 quarter became one of those coins. A once common piece of everyday currency transformed by time, luck, and care into something unforgettable. Something historic. A symbol of how greatness can still be hiding in plain sight, and now, all these years later, this coin has found its way to the people who understand what it really is. People who look beyond the surface. Who understand that something as humble as a quarter can carry value, not just monetary, but emotional. Historical. Cultural, and for that one single quarter, preserved against all odds in the chaos of circulation, the value has reached a stunning, jaw-dropping $135,000. It began like any other spring morning in 1990, the world bustling with the quiet hum of daily routines. Yet, within the heart of the United States Mint, a story was unfolding that would captivate numismatists for decades to come. A story that started with the pressing of a single $quarter coin, a coin that, to the untrained eye, appeared no different than millions of others. But this was no ordinary coin. This was the 1990 USA $quarter, destined to become a legend in the world of rare collectibles. The year 1990 marked a transitional era. Technology was on the rise, the Cold War was inching toward its final pages, and Americans were embracing a rapidly changing world. Amid this backdrop, the U.S. Mint continued its long-standing tradition of producing coins that serve not only as currency but as miniature canvases of national pride and artistry. The Mint was a symphony of machines, craftsmanship, and history, forging coins that would soon become part of everyday American life, tucked into pockets, dropped into vending machines, exchanged in small acts of commerce, and quietly making their way into the stories of countless individuals. Each coin that left the Mint bore the hallmark of precision and intent, and the 1990 quarter was no exception. Crafted primarily from a cupronickel alloy, a resilient blend of copper and nickel, the coin measured 24.26 mm in diameter and weighed in at 5.67 grams. Its composition, designed for durability and resilience, spoke to the nature of the coin's role, to serve, without question or fail, in the countless transactions that make up the rhythm of daily life. It was meticulously struck to ensure the integrity of its design, which had remained largely unchanged since 1932, a testament to the timeless aesthetic and historical reverence it carried. On its obverse, the quarter bore the familiar profile of George Washington, the nation's first president, modeled after a bust created by Jean-Antoine Houdon. The stoic expression and commanding gaze symbolized the enduring legacy of leadership and freedom. Above his head, the word "Liberty" arched like a crown, while to the left, the motto, "In God We Trust," reminded all who held it of the country's spiritual foundation. Below, the year 1990 stood proudly, anchoring the coin in its time. The simplicity of the design was deceptive. It was not merely aesthetic, it was philosophical, carrying the values of the nation engraved into metal. Flip the coin, and the reverse displayed the majestic heraldic eagle, wings spread wide, clutching arrows and an olive branch. This imagery, rich with symbolism, conveyed strength and peace, a balance the nation constantly sought to maintain. The eagle, fierce and watchful, looked left toward peace, even as it held the arrows of defense. Encircling the eagle were the inscriptions, "United States of America," and "$quarter," affirming its value and origin. This wasn't just a monetary unit, it was a message from the heart of the Republic, a reminder of heritage and responsibility. Millions of these coins were minted, distributed across the nation through banks, cash registers, and countless pockets. For most, it was simply change. A means to pay for coffee, a bus fare, a moment's need. For others, it would become a treasure, but not yet. Time would have to pass, eyes would have to be trained, and a keen sense of curiosity would need to awaken before the 1990 quarter's true worth could be realized. It passed through the fingers of children buying candy, clerks making change, and travelers crossing states, each unaware of the potential value that might be glinting in their hands. In the dim corners of coin shops, within dusty boxes of estate sales, and hidden in plain sight inside forgotten jars, collectors began to notice anomalies. Some quarters bore slight deviations, misalignments, off-center strikes, or doubling of letters. Others were near perfect in their preservation, untouched by circulation, frozen in time as though they had just left the coining press. These subtle distinctions, invisible to the casual observer, became sparks of fascination for collectors and experts alike. These discoveries sparked a quiet frenzy. Numismatists, both amateur and professional, started seeking out the 1990 quarter with renewed intensity. Stories emerged of remarkable finds, often in the most unexpected places. A child finding one while helping a grandparent count coins. A seasoned collector stumbling upon a pristine example nestled between common dates. Each tale added another thread to the growing legend. The thrill of the hunt became part of the mystique, a scavenger quest scattered across years and memories, but it wasn't just the rare errors or immaculate conditions that caught attention. It was the story itself, the way this coin, a humble quarter, bridged generations. It reminded people of their childhoods, of simpler times, of the tactile joy of holding history in one's palm. It wasn't just metal, it was memory. Each scratch, each mark of circulation, hinted at the stories the coin had witnessed, the hands it had touched, the lives it had brushed against. As years rolled on, the 1990 quarter began appearing less frequently in everyday transactions. The once common coin had started its slow retreat into the realm of rarity. Its scarcity elevated its status, and with that elevation came value. Collectors scoured coin shows, online marketplaces, and gatherings of like-minded enthusiasts with a singular goal: to add this elusive gem to their collections. The coin became more than an object, it became an ambition. Condition became everything. Quarters that showed even the slightest wear lost appeal. But those in mint state, especially those graded MS 67 and above, were coveted like precious artifacts. Each grading point added not just numerical significance, but layers of desirability and worth. With every step up in grade, the coin's value and narrative strength amplified. It became a contest of preservation. The better the condition, the louder its voice in the world of collecting. The tale of the 1990 quarter is one of transformation, from commonality to distinction, from pocket change to prized possession. It speaks of the unexpected magic that can lie dormant in the everyday, waiting for the right moment, the right person, the right eye to recognize its value. It challenges us to look closer, to pay attention, to understand that sometimes the extraordinary is hidden in plain sight. Today, this coin holds a place of honor among the pantheon of modern American rarities. It's more than just a piece of change, it's a testament to the unpredictable journey of everyday objects. From pocket to pedestal, from overlooked to overvalued, the 1990 quarter's path is a remarkable narrative of transformation. Its rise is a tribute to time, patience, and the art of discovery, and so, after years of being passed from hand to hand, shuffled into drawers, and rediscovered with astonished eyes, one particular specimen emerged. Immaculate in condition, flawless in strike, and steeped in this very history, it found itself at the center of attention. Its story, its condition, and its timing all aligned to elevate its status to something extraordinary. That very coin, the 1990 USA quarter dollar, is now valued at a staggering $125,000. It was the year 2005. The air carried the buzz of a new millennium still finding its rhythm, and among the sounds of cell phone ringtones and dial-up internet, a quieter but powerful story was being minted, quite literally. At the United States Mint, nestled within a series of precise and deliberate movements, something extraordinary was born: the Oregon State Quarter. This coin wasn't just currency. It was part of a grander tale, one of heritage and pride, the 50 State Quarters program. Launched in 1999, this initiative was designed to celebrate each state's unique history, culture, and natural beauty. By 2005, the program had already captured the imagination of millions across the country. People weren't just spending coins anymore, they were collecting them, holding on to them, and passing them down to children and grandchildren like treasured heirlooms. For many, it was the first time they had seen history, geography, and artistry meet in the palm of their hand. When it came time to represent Oregon, the stakes were high. The state, known for its untamed wilderness and pioneering spirit, deserved a design that reflected both its past and its grandeur. And so, when the coin emerged, it carried on its reverse side a breathtaking scene: Crater Lake, America's deepest lake, carved from the ruins of an ancient volcano, framed by towering conifers and an unbroken horizon of mountainous beauty. The image was serene, almost meditative. You could almost hear the quiet breeze rustling the pines or see the sunlight glinting off the water's surface. The design was more than a landscape, it was a tribute. Crater Lake has long been revered not only for its geological majesty but for its spiritual significance to Native American tribes. The Klamath people tell stories of great battles between deities that formed the caldera, embedding mythology into the earth itself. The coin captured the stillness of the waters, the serenity of the environment, and the echo of time itself. Above the lake, the inscriptions read Oregon and 1859, the year the state joined the Union. Beneath it, the proud label, Crater Lake. On the obverse, as with all state quarters, was the steadfast image of George Washington, the nation's first president. His profile, stern and thoughtful, had watched over American coinage since 1932, and here again, it formed the connection between past and present. Above him, the word Liberty stood resolute, and beside him, the guiding creed, In God We Trust. The simple yet noble profile tied every state together. No matter how unique its design, every quarter bore Washington's silent endorsement. Millions of Oregon quarters were minted in both Philadelphia and Denver. They flowed into hands across the country, becoming part of daily life, exchanged for groceries, dropped into parking meters, or saved in little display books with clear plastic slots. But among the masses, a few stood out. These weren't just coins, they were masterpieces. Some bore minute minting errors, double die reverses, clipped planchets, or off-center strikes, rarities that turned common coins into coveted treasures. In certain circles of collectors, whispers began to grow louder. Stories emerged of Oregon quarters that exhibited unusual brilliance, coins with flawless luster, unmatched strike clarity, or subtle minting errors that defied convention. Some bore doubled edges or ghost-like outlines of details. Others, somehow spared the friction of circulation, retained the original shimmer of a fresh strike, as though time itself had spared them. These rare examples carried not only the beauty of Oregon's landscape but also a mystical allure born of perfection. Collectors began to hunt more seriously. Boxes of change were poured out onto tables. Rolls of quarters were unwrapped with anticipation. And every so often, a lucky individual would spot it, that one Oregon quarter that seemed too perfect, too crisp, too clean to be real. It was like discovering a window into the exact moment the die had met the planchet, the beginning of its story. The thrill of discovery was palpable, and it turned casual hobbyists into passionate seekers, but what truly elevated these coins to legend was their condition. In numismatics, condition is king, and a coin in MS 69 or even MS 70, a nearly impossible feat, commands attention from collectors across the globe. The Oregon quarter, in pristine condition, particularly those with perfect details and brilliant uncirculated shine, became the subject of fascination. Coins graded by top organizations such as PCGS and NGC began appearing in showcases, drawing crowds at coin shows and online forums. Beyond physical perfection, though, it was the story behind the coin that truly captivated people. Here was a piece of modern American history that captured natural wonder, indigenous reverence, and national identity, all in the palm of your hand. Holding it felt like holding a piece of the Pacific Northwest, the cool, pine-scented air, the still waters of Crater Lake, the quiet strength of the evergreens. Each coin became a tactile souvenir, a frozen moment, a whispered story from the land. Time passed, and the 2005 Oregon quarter became increasingly difficult to find in the wild. It vanished from cash registers and convenience store counters. More and more were swept up by collectors, preserved in airtight holders, graded by professional services, and displayed like prized jewels. What had once been part of spare change had ascended to the realm of rarity. Its scarcity only fueled its desirability, as demand grew far beyond supply, and then, as often happens in the world of numismatics, one coin surfaced that seemed to defy belief. It was flawless, untouched, unmarked, shimmering like the lake it depicted. Experts examined it. Collectors whispered about it. Its strike was deep and defined. Its surfaces mirrored perfection. There wasn't a flaw to be found. And when its story fully emerged, it was clear that this was more than just a state quarter. It was a marvel. The journey of this coin, from a simple minting press in 2005 to a revered item in a high-security display case, is a testament to how something ordinary can become extraordinary. It reminds us that history is not always bound in books or museums. Sometimes, it's past in change, waiting to be seen. The 2005 Oregon State Quarter, honoring the state's 1859 entry into the Union and capturing the awe-inspiring view of Crater Lake, has now reached a staggering value. That very coin, preserved in mint condition and steeped in natural beauty and numismatic prestige, is now valued at an astonishing $110,000. The year was 2007. America stood firmly in the 21st century, a nation embracing the digital age with smartphones, social media, and rising innovations. But amid this technological boom, something more grounded was quietly captivating the country, a celebration of identity, history, and unity through coins. The 50 State Quarters program, which began in 1999, was nearing its final years, yet its impact was stronger than ever. Every release brought excitement, pride, and a sense of discovery. And when it was Wyoming's turn, something special took form. Wyoming, the 44th state to join the Union in 1890, is a place defined by its sweeping landscapes, towering mountains, and open skies. But even more iconic is its deep-rooted cowboy culture, a heritage shaped by ranching, rodeo, and a rugged way of life. It's the least populated state in the country, yet its identity is among the most recognizable. So how do you capture all of that on a coin? The grit, the freedom, the timeless spirit? The answer came in the form of one unforgettable image: a bucking horse and rider. No intricate backgrounds, no mountains or meadows, just a silhouette, bold and defiant, a cowboy holding on as the wild steed kicks skyward. The design, minimal in form, thundered with power. It wasn't just a depiction of a rider and a horse, it was a tribute to the fierce independence that Wyoming lives by. This image, believed to represent the legendary horse, Steamboat, has been a symbol of Wyoming pride for more than a century. Its placement on the quarter was both fitting and symbolic. Above the silhouette, the name, Wyoming, stood proudly. Below, the year the state joined the Union, 1890. Underneath the design, three simple but potent words: the equality state. This was more than a motto. Wyoming was the first state to grant women the right to vote, decades before the 19th Amendment. The nickname honors that bold step toward justice and equality, adding even more depth to the coin's narrative. On the other side, as with all quarters in the series, George Washington's familiar profile remained. The nation's first president, carved in enduring solemnity, a symbol of leadership and unity. Above his head, the word liberty. Beside him, the national creed, in God we trust. The quarter's value, $quarter, stood at the bottom, tying the state's unique story into the national fabric. The Wyoming quarter was minted at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and soon found its way into cash drawers, coin jars, vending machines, and collectors' albums. Tens of millions were produced, a testament to the reach of the 50 State Quarters program. But while many of these coins saw regular use, a small number stood apart. A rare few avoided the wear of circulation, preserved in pristine condition, and in them, collectors saw a masterpiece. From the very start, the coin sparked interest. Collectors noticed the minimalistic design revealed everything, or nothing, depending on the quality of the strike. Some coins appeared weakly struck, with fading details and ghost-like impressions of the horse and rider. Others had doubling in the lettering or the design itself. Still more bore faint die cracks or incomplete rims. These variations turned a simple commemorative coin into a numismatic mystery, prompting a wave of closer inspections and nationwide searches. Forums and collector groups buzzed with discussions. Some searched for high-grade examples, sending them to be professionally graded and encapsulated in protective holders. Others hunted error coins, die clashes, off-center strikes, and planchet flaws, all adding layers of uniqueness. And then came the hunt for perfection. Coins graded at MS-69 or the elusive MS-70, considered nearly flawless. To hold a Wyoming quarter in perfect condition was to hold something timeless. The reflective surfaces glimmered under the light, and the contrast between the raised silhouette and the smooth background created a powerful sense of depth. It wasn't just a coin, it was Wyoming, forged into metal. The wildness, the courage, the equality, all captured in that moment of still motion. Tales of remarkable finds spread quickly. One story told of a collector in Cheyenne who opened a sealed mint set purchased years earlier, only to discover a flawless Wyoming quarter graded MS-70, a once-in-a-lifetime find. Another recounted a coin show in Denver where a seller unveiled a double-die Wyoming quarter that left experts speechless. These weren't just lucky breaks. They were reminders of the hidden treasures still resting in drawers, boxes, and change jars across the country. The design simplicity, at first questioned by some, became its greatest strength. With fewer distractions, the focus stayed firmly on the state's emblem, the fearless rider. The image became instantly iconic. Even non-collectors took notice. It wasn't rare to hear someone say, "This one looks different," when pulling it from change. People saved them, not for value, but for what they represented. But over time, finding a Wyoming quarter in near-perfect condition became increasingly rare. Circulation wore down their sharp edges. Mint rolls were opened, broken apart, and spent. The numbers dwindled. Meanwhile, the value of high-grade examples climbed, and then, it happened. A Wyoming state quarter surfaced in perfect, untouched condition, full strike, flawless fields, brilliant luster. It passed through the hands of grading professionals, each one stunned by its clarity. It became a numismatic legend, not just for its beauty, but for its rarity. Today, that very coin, a 2007 Wyoming quarter, preserved in museum-quality condition and steeped in symbolism, stands as a crown jewel among collectors. It embodies more than the spirit of the West. It tells a story of legacy, pride, equality, and grit. And its value? This exceptional specimen, this pristine relic of American culture, is now valued at a staggering $98,000.